KLOS. It is 12 midnight, time for the local music show. Good evening. The local music show is being brought to you by Hanich Music in West Covina. If you'd like your band to be heard in the program, you can send in your records or tapes and your bios directly to us here at KLOS or drop them off at Hanich Music. Of course, there's no purchase necessary there. This is Joe Benson. Our producer tonight is Mark Felsot. We're going to be looking at several bands, including the Radials from Santa Monica, Robert Bruce Bowen of Orange, and we have interviews and an in-depth look to the new Motley Crue album coming up right after this. Well, good evening. This is Joe Benson. We're here tonight with Motley Crue all over the studio. Welcome to the place, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Vince and Nikki and Mick with us right now. Tommy's in transit, I guess, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
Lost on the freeway.
He isn't tied up. He'd like to be, but he's on his way.
We haven't seen him since last night, so I don't know.
You haven't?
No.
Maybe there is something behind this. Well, you guys have created quite a name for yourself here. You got quite a reputation going. And you've been together how long?
About 10 months.
10 months. You knew each other before you actually got together as a band, didn't you?
Well, me and Tommy went to high school together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were in rival high school bands all through it. So
you were in a band before Motley Crue. There was one or two other bands that had a reputation going somewhat. One of them was named London. Is this right?
That was my
Nikki's
band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were together for about 2.5, 3 years.
So how did Motley Crue happen together then? Was London coming to an end? Or?
London was coming to an end. I left, and I had met Tommy through another friend of mine, and we had got together and just played just as bass. I'd showed him some of my songs, and he liked them, said he'd look forward to putting a band together. We found Mick in the paper. There I was, splattered all over the front page. And we found him at the Starwood in his old band called Brock Candy singing on stage, and that's how it all got started.
actually, I had joined the band April Fool's Day. So I don't know about that. I was looking back in my
I think the
little
joke's
diary
been on us.
Wait.
I see.
Nikki, you'd written quite a bit of material going into this then.
Yeah, I'd been writing a lot of this music during London, and as a matter of fact, one of the songs was from that era, but I was writing it for myself, saving it, realizing it wasn't going to last forever, you know. And then I had quite a repertoire built up, so when we got together, we had ourselves about 10 or 11 songs to start off with right away.
That was before you even went out and played.
Yeah, so we didn't have to spend the time really writing all the songs and that whole ordeal of, you know, getting that together, experimenting with that.
What was the first thing, Vince, that caught your eye when they approached you about joining the band?
Oh, I'd known Tommy before, but he sure looked different. You know? I go, boy, have you changed.
Something to do with nice.
And then I saw Mick approached me in the bathroom.
Wait a minute. You want to cut that out?
No. So anyways, Mick came up to me and he goes, and he told me that I like you a lot, you know. So they called me up the next day and asked me for an audition. And I told him I'd be there.
But he never
I never
showed
showed
up.
up. So they got another singer. So then my band was I was happy with it then. And then they started falling apart, and I was going, oh, man, you should have just went for the opportunity. So luckily, Nikki called me back, and they gave me another shot at it. And I went down there, and boy, was I nervous, because Alan was sitting there, and they had the whole thing, and I'm going, I didn't know any of the songs, really. You know, Tommy dropped off a tape, but I didn't know anything. So,
It seemed to be magic. The funny thing was, I mean, even though he didn't know the songs right away, and we had been rehearsing the songs for like, I'd say maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Yeah, about that.
It was just magic. His voice fit perfect with our sound, and it just came together. First thing, I just looked at Alan's, the first thing he sang, and Alan's face just smiled, and that was it.
and there goes the hair.
And I go, get a haircut.
That was Livewire, Motley Crue from their brand new album, Too Fast for Love, here in the KLOS Local Music Show. I'm still Benson, and we've been joined by the drummer, Tommy Lee. Well, now that I got all of you here together, your live show is really, there's quite a lot to it. A lot of thought went into that, eh?
A lot. We always try to put a lot of thought into everything. I think that's the key to success in any business, is thinking something out.
When you first started the band up and you were working out these things, and even before you'd found Vince to do the vocals and stuff, had you envisioned a show like you put on now?
Personally, I mean, I've always looked up to bands, visual-wise. Okay, we're not talking musical right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tubes era, when they were doing White Punks on Dope, Broadway mixed with rock and roll.
Really?
And I think that's what we could head for. I'm not saying that's what we will, but we can build our show up, and the music can get better, and everything can get better. You can't just stagnate and stay in one place and play the same music and have the same show and everything forever.
If someone were planning to come down and see you, what would you want them to expect when they got there?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
And anything.
And anything.
A lot of energy.
We don't plan things. I mean, we do plan things. I mean, we said when we talked about going into thought, but it's spontaneous. Things Vince does, Tommy does, Mick does. The other night, smashed his guitar into 1,000 pieces. We were just going, what is going on?
Do you have a song you open up with?
Take Me to the Top.
Take Me to the Top?
It's like hold on to your seats because here we come when we get out on stage because when the opening music comes on and they're just out there grinding it out, and then I come on a little bit later and just kind of glide. Get all
Glides on
the
stage.
excitement just starts building, and then it just goes boom.
That was Take Me to the Top, Motley Crue, and we have them with us here tonight in the KLOS Local Music Show. You've been together about 10 months. When you first got together, you did a demo, didn't you? A 45.
Yeah.
That is when we were first together.
We were first together. I was only in the band a couple days, and I was reading the words while I was recording because I didn't know the words yet to the song, and I was scared to death because I'd never been in the studio before. And
you did that basically just to get someone familiar with what you were doing, to get some
promotion
sense of what's going out.
We had no plans on making a single out of it, as a matter of fact. It was just for demo purposes, and we ended up to the songs on it that we'd played for some people they thought were really, really good, and we thought, well, we might as well press it and use it as a kind of a giveaway to get people to know the band, and it worked real good for us.
Had you planned on cutting an album this soon into things, or did it roll along smoother than you had originally thought?
Things really came together so fast because of Alan. Alan's done so much for us, and I mean, you always want to think something's going to happen this fast. This is like a dream come true for all of us.
Maybe we ought to touch on that then. Al, why don't you step up here? Al's going to
I think the guys were together, about a month?
Yeah.
And I flew down from Lake Tahoe, and they were in the studio cutting a demo tape. And I sat there and listened to them. My first reaction when I walked in was, okay. And I sat down and I listened to one song, and it just made up my mind. I thought they were great. And I wanted to be involved with them, and that's how it started.
What did you think when Al first came along and heard you during the recording session? It must have been somewhat of a shock to have someone come in out of the cold and say, "God, you guys are great. I think I'm going to help you along a little bit."
It was, I mean, it was really great. I didn't think it would, we didn't really understand what was happening at that point because it was a friend of Mick's. Well, it was Mick's roadie, who's Alan's brother-in-law. That's how the whole thing. Long story to make things short. He had told him to come down and just listen to the group, and we didn't really know what Alan's place would be with the group, except for he said he was interested in possibly investing some money in a group to. And we worked on an 8-week basis, and now we're on a forever basis.
Sometimes management sits in the background and keeps track of bookings and whatnot, and gives advice along the way. Is this the kind of management situation that you're into here, or is it more...
No, I consider myself a member of the group, and I've done everything from, well, anything, any kind of involvement with the group, from photo session, press kits, to getting them McDonald's, to driving Vince to his voice lessons, to taking care of the overdue phone bills, everything. It's just my family. And
There's 5 members of Motley Crue.
Yeah. I don't know if that's unusual. Yeah. I don't know if that's unusual in the music business. I mean, that's the way we want it to be always.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can depend on them, and they know they can depend on me.
When did the idea for the album first come forward then?
It's the next logical thing to do.
Well, around the end of summer, I felt we had to keep the momentum going, and that was the next logical thing. And we discussed either a 45 or EP or an album. And I felt that after discussing it with the guys, that an album was the logical step. And I felt that they were ready, and they felt they were ready, and
The record companies didn't.
the record companies didn't.
So we said, we'll do it without them.
And that's basically the way it's been from the very beginning, and it's going to continue. We just today signed our distribution deal for our album, and it'll be available internationally throughout the world by the end of January.
Well, that's hot.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
Slap, slap.
You have a very interesting song on the album, Merry-Go-Round. What's the story behind that?
Story behind Merry-Go-Round is, and a lot of people don't understand it when they read the lyrics, but when I was living in Seattle where I was raised, there was a guy who was about 22, 23 years old, had about 4 kids and had all these pressures. He was like too much on his mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was an actual merry-go-round right where the houses, all the little apartment buildings were. And one day he ended up just sitting out there. He just like lost his mind, and they took him away in a straitjacket. He was out there. he regressed to being a little kid. He was out there playing on the merry-go-round, and he just lost it all the way. Too many pressures. And I thought that was just something, it always kind of struck me in the heart. I always thought I wanted to write a song about that.
Merry-Go-Round, Motley Crue from the new album, Too Fast for Love. You played, you've done at least one mini tour, I guess you'd have to call it, where you went out and played smaller towns to see how it went over.
Blew them away.
Where did you go?
We went Chico and...
Up in Northern California, Grass Valley, Nevada City, Chico, Sacramento, that area, and that's where my home is. And in many cases, self-produced concerts, rented a theater and put on a show and did our own promo. And small theaters, 350 to maybe 600 seat, and it went wild.
We'd sit in biker bars and get drunk, and they'd look at us, and then after they got to know us, they'd figure out that we were pretty normal guys after all.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they started hearing our music, they started to like us, and we sold out everywhere we played. Kids rushing the stages, and we figured, well, that's how it's going to be over the mountains in some little town. That's exactly how it's going to be. So hopefully.
One thing I noticed on the album, we get a lot of stuff in here in Local Music Show, a lot of tapes and a lot of records and whatnot. And the sound you have on this is really good. I mean, you came up with a fine sound, and it's basically self-produced, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is.
And you had mentioned before, Vince, that you hadn't been in the studio. Who was responsible then?
Relax.
No, I was in there. Me and Nikki were in there most of the time, actually. And thanks to our
Michael Wagner.
Michael Wagner.
He's from Germany. He's a German guy who speaks fairly good English, who's worked with Judas Priest and a lot of other European bands, and he's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Great guy to work with.
He's really good. He's really good at the board. He's the type of person where we know what we want out of our sound, and a lot of times, being a young band, we haven't had the experience. We could go, we'd love to get this sound, and a lot of engineers will go, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, da-da-da. He'd just go, okay, like this. And it's done.
He knew exactly what we wanted. He's
exactly.
And a lot has to do with the studio we recorded in. It was very nice. Had the facilities we needed. Hit City West.
Hit City West, right?
Good place to record.
Did you change? You must have had everything pretty much figured out when you went in to record.
Yeah.
A lot of pre-production. A whole lot. That's very important. I mean, as far as budgets and stuff.
I was just going to say, it makes a lot of difference as far as the budget thing goes.
Right, Alan?
Come on, guys, hurry.
That was On With the Show. That one's a little bit different than most of the songs in the album. Partly, in fact, that two of you wrote it.
The music had been around for a long time. I couldn't come up with any real concept for it, and we were rehearsal, and it just was real spontaneous.
Started making up some words, and Alan was there, and he goes, "I kind of like what you're singing there." So then I kind of got an idea. Me and Nikki we went, after practice, went over to Nikki's house, and we sat down and came up with a story.
That's what we did. We sit down and we thought out a story. Of, basically, it's a very street-oriented song about a person who is in love with, a girl who's in love with a guy who's really doing, as the album says, living really too fast for love, and when he gets killed, she has to go on with the show, which can relate to many situations. You always have to go on when you lose something.
Yeah.
Tearjerker.
And
I don't print off. You have a set process for writing songs like that.
More and more as we're going along, we're writing a lot of the new material. We're really happy with. It's more of a collaboration of everybody. Like I said, when we first got together, I had written the music because there was really nobody else there.
So now someone will come in with a riff or something that everybody will add parts to it, and come in, well, let's put this here, and like one of us me or come up with a melody line, and then we'll sit down and.
It's still concept.
So it's still the same thing, but it's more.
Ever since the beginning of rock and roll, there's always been a certain amount of outrage involved as far as dress and whatnot. Elvis wearing his pink shirts, and Little Richard and all that back then. And it goes on and on since then. I'm wondering, how would you look a little bit different on stage? You have stiletto heels you wear sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the hair and all that. It's just part of the show.
It's a show. Like I said, you go back to, it almost goes back to acting. There's spontaneity in it, but it all goes back to acting, theater. Rock and roll has gotten so stagnant. That's why New Wave came along.
Yeah.
Everybody just said, "I'm sick of this, Deep Purple, tight pants and mustache rock and roll." There's got to be more to it than that. I mean, I believe that. Maybe I'm wrong. You could disagree, and everybody else could disagree, but that's what we believe.
There's nobody else like us right now,
There's a lot trying to be.
Real good point.
That's a real funny thing. Is a lot of people in L.A. it's picking up, and like in England, like when the punk bands started, Sex Pistols and stuff, everybody went to that extreme. And I'm wondering what's going to happen in the future with us, because it's starting to happen just in L.A. What's going to happen when Alan said, the album gets distributed nationally, if it'll pick up to that extreme.
You go to our shows now, and you look out in the audience, and there's blue-black hair and blondes with their hair blown up, stiletto heels, leather jackets, out in the audience, and then it's just starting. You can go walk down the street and you'll see, hey, he looks like me.
What a
so you haven't run into very much negative reaction to it then?
Except from record companies.
Yeah.
You're too weird.
Isn't that something that people you'd expect to be ahead of things on that, always lag behind? Who were the first ones to pick up on what you were doing?
It's really staggered.
Yeah, it's very.
It's really,
a real wide spectrum of what's
there's people from 13, 14 years old, girls, and there's 17, 18-year-old guys, there's 25-year-old men, and there's 30, 40-year-old people.
There's people there.
It's like a it's a really wide range of people that like us a lot, It's just closer to the stage, the younger they are, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like television or something. I mean, we're not just a typical heavy metal band or a punk band or anything. There's so much entertainment up there that anybody can get a kick out of coming and seeing the show. And so we hope everybody enjoys it.
It's been a pleasure having you guys by here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And I wish you a lot of luck when you go out there and hit across the country, and if you go across the ocean, we'll be looking forward to seeing you back here in the city about the middle of January. Good luck with the album. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
And anything we can ever do for you?
As a matter of fact. That's Public Enemy #1, Motley Crue here in the KLOS Local Music Show. I want to thank the guys for stopping by. We had a wild time with them and wish them the best of luck along the line. This is Benson with you here.